Now I know that my viewer base is very international, so I'm sure some of you haven't seen the new €20 note. Well, not this thing. This one! Hello and welcome everyone to today's deck profile. A lot of you asked for this one. It is the Rescue / Gavrail build. Now I'm going to say this right off the bat that this is not the strongest Angel Feather build. It's more of a fun one, but it's still strong. But it's more fun than No Seal in my opinion. No Seal is definitely the stronger one, but this is the one that I actually prefer playing. And also I am playing under English regulations, so Refrost is at 4. And I guess I'll just, when we get to Refrost, I'll just say what you can put in instead of the 3 extra Refrosts that we can play in English. Anyway, let's get right into it, and we're going to be starting off with the starting Vanguard, which is Black Candle Azrael. So Azrael's skill is an act on GB1. You can almost want to put into the soul, then put the top card of your deck into damage zone face up, and choose a face up card from your damage and put it into your hand. So put into the soul, top deck a damage, and then take a face up. That's pretty much, and also kind of +1 obviously. So that's all she does, is basically +1, ±1. Well, you do put in a soul, so you know it's hard to count that, but it's a good starter. You could use the old one that I used in No Seal, and I don't really like the rescue starter that much. I've tried it a lot. I tried a lot of the rescue starter, but I just never could do much with it, and this always ended up being more helpful, so that's why we play it. Now, getting onto the grade 3s. The backup grade 3 that I'll get into is like, it's arguable what you could play as a backup grade 3. It's just the one that I kind of found to be the most useful for now, but like I'm always swapping them out, but it's just the one I've kind of decided to stick with for now. But the main grade 3 obviously is Black Shiver Gavrail. So Gavrail's GB2 is when a card is put into damage zone, she gets +2k for the whole front row. So basically it's a continuous +2k to the whole front row. So if you get 1 damage, it's +2k, 2 damage is +4k, etc. And it's the whole front row. Her second skill is when you stride on top of her, you can count +1, look at top 3, put 1 to damage zone, and put the rest on the bottom of your deck, and then choose a face-up card from your damage zone, call it, and give it +2k. Good stuff. Her GB2 is very important, and it's obviously one of the main defensive focuses of the deck, because it's very like it makes it very easy to survive with this deck once you get the GB2 off, and especially with some cards like the new Perfect Guard and No CL. And the on-strike skill is also really nice because it basically gets you to call something from your damage zone, which lets you use your damage zone as a second hand and as like a backup, you know, calling thing. So 4 of her, you can run 3 as well because she's searchable, but I prefer 4 just for the sake of this deck. Like I said, this is not, like, don't look at this as like, oh, this is going to be #1 at tournaments. Like, it could be, but I think No CL is still superior. But our backup grade 3 is not No CL, it's actually Crimson Roar Metatron. First off is her second skill. It's an act and it's not on GB1. Once per turn you put a rearguard into the soul, then you choose a card from your soul, put it into your damage zone face up, and choose a face up damage zone card and call it to rearguard circle. So that's the second skill. That's the most important one. That's the only one you really use her for. It's basically like when you don't run Gavrail, it's like, call this, put something useless into the soul, and then put something from the soul into the damage zone, and then call something out. So it's kind of there just to kind of fetch stuff, and like if you write something important, you can put it back. Like if you write a grade 1 No CL and you're like, I want it in the damage zone or something, so you can do it like that. Her first skill is not that important, but I'll go over it anyway. So her first skill is a Limit Break 4, once per turn, act on Vanguard Circle. You choose one of your rearguards and put it to damage zone face up, and choose one card from your damage zone and call it to rearguard circle. And then if you have the other Metatron in soul, that unit that you call gets +3k, and the skill that when it hits a Vanguard, you can count +1 and put it into the damage zone face up, and then you choose any other card in the damage zone and put it into your hand. So this only works if you have the other Metatron. Like the second part of that skill only works if you have another Metatron, the other Metatron in the soul, so we don't play that, so that's why the first skill is not really important. I'm playing her for now. Like, I've tried the Legion, I've tried Requiem Pegasus. No CL is superior, but for now I just wanted to do a build without No CL. But like, if people want, I could do Gavrail No CL as well. Like, it's not hard to build. It's very similar to my very first No CL deck profile, just with some new stuff. But I wanted to focus on Gavrail for this deck profile, and I hope that's alright. I will be doing a separate No CL one, just like straight up No CL, so don't worry about that. But this is the backup grade 3 I chose for now. And now obviously into the best grade 2 and pretty much the winning condition and defense condition and everything for this deck, which is Nurse of Broken Heart. Her skill is when a card goes to your damage zone, her and your Vanguard get +2k, and this ability stacks because it's an auto. So one card goes to damage while you're on GB2 and have her, both get +4. Another one, another +4, so it's +8, +12, and so on. Very good. Like, it's one of the most, like, it's no surprise that it's on the watch list right now. So in Japan at least. So it's really good. Does so many things. Becomes a powerhouse. Like, I'm never surprised that people go like, oh, she's actually broken, because Like, you know, she can die to Denial Griffin and stuff, which is, you know, definitely valid, but she's very strong, and definitely, like, if they restricted her, then Angel Feather would not be as strong as it is now. Moving on to our next grade 2 is one of the new cards, which is Black Dream Zabanya. So she's the Glimmer Breath clone for Gavrail. When you call her, you can come as 1 Soul Blast 1 and put a card from your hand into your damage zone face up. And then if your Vanguard's a Gavrail, well, you can do that if it's a Gavrail actually. And then you choose a card from your damage zone, call it, and give it +2k, and then you rescue 1. So she's... Why I like her is because I have a lot of things in the deck that I want to stay in the damage zone. So sometimes I'm like, oh, if my hand is full of like some of the cards will go into, then I'll basically call her out, put that stuff in the damage zone, and get something else out that could actually be useful to me right now. So it's basically why I run her. She's really, like, the only reason why I run her is because I focus on Gavrail. Like, if I played Gavrail no seal, then this would be swapped out for grade 2 no seals. That's pretty much how it's going. Next up we have another one of the old cards, which is Black Slice Harut, and we played 2 of her. Harut is the Amber clone. When she's boosted on GB1 and attacks the Vanguard, you can count as 1. If you do, look at top 2 cards of your deck, put one into the damage zone face up, the other one in the bottom of your deck, and then choose a face up card from your damage zone and call it to rearguard circle. I only played 2 because she's not phenomenal. I think Zabanya is fine. Like, you could cut down as Zabanya for an extra Harut. I've kind of been doing that here and there, but it's alright. She's not super amazing, but she's alright, and that's why she's a 2 of. The next and final grade 2 is Laser Clutcher Kiel. Her skill is, when it's put into the drop zone from damage zone, you can call it to rearguard circle, and if it was due to a rescue ability, it gets +3k. So, this is one of the cards that I was talking about with Zabanya that I would like to, like, if I have her in my hand, I like to put her into the damage zone. So I either use no seal or her, or stuff like that, to put her into the damage zone, because then I want to rescue her at some point and get a free attack. So, and also, like, she's basically 12k swing, like, when she gets rescued, so it's good to get extra attacks in on, like, a Gavrail stride or something. So, really good card. I only 2 of. I actually tried 4 at one point, but it was way too much, and I felt that 2 is actually the optimal amount, because she's not your winning condition, she's not your focus, but she's a very nice cherry on top. Moving on to the grade 1s, we have the MVP, the grade 1 No Seal. No Seal's skill is simple and amazing. When you guard with it, you take a card from your hand and put it into damage zone face up, and then choose any card from your damage zone and put it into your hand. So what this means is that when you guard with it, and you have Gavrail's GB2, then because you're putting a card in the damage zone, Gavrail's GB2 procs to give your front row a 2k buff, and also Broken Heart procs to give another +2k to her and the Vanguard. So very good defensive play, because basically you can drop this against a 10, like an attack that would require 10k, you drop this, and then through the swaps it gains another few k, and then it becomes enough to guard it. So very good card. Obviously if I ran grade 3 no seal, it'll be even stronger, so like I said, if people ask, I can do the Gavrail no seal deck, but for now it's going to be separate Gavrail and separate no seal just for now. Next up we are running 4 of the brand new Rescue Perfect Guard, which is Dr. Ride Remnon. So Remnon is a perfect guard that can only guard the Vanguard, and then when it guards, if you have a face-up Remnon in your damage zone, you can count as 1. If you do, you rescue 1. So you heal 1 damage and then take 1 damage, and you perform the damage check. So very good, because she's basically kind of like a no seal. The problem with her is that you need a face-up 1 in the damage zone, so that's kind of annoying because you can essentially only use 3. And you have to somehow get her in there. So that's also why I run Zabanya, because sometimes, like, if I have 2 perfect cards in hand, I'll just drop this one in the damage zone and then be able to use the skill, which can sometimes save games because you can get extra 5ks, you gain power boosts from Broken Heart and Gavrail as well. So that's why we run her. Now this next grade 1, I basically had 2 slots left. Like, I have another grade 1 that I'll get into. Actually, a few more grade 1s, obviously, but there was one, I had basically 2 slots for one grade 1, and I was considering between Black Bomber Malik and Nurse of Smash Heart, and I tested both, and Smash Heart ended up being better because Malik was just not consistent enough for my needs, I guess. So Nurse of Smash Heart's skill, so her skill is, when a card's put into the drop zone from damage zone, you can count as 1 to draw a card. It's once per turn, but it's on either player's turn. So when you heal on your opponent's turn, you can soul blast 1 to draw a card. When you rescue on your own turn, you can soul blast 1 to draw a card. That's why I like it. It's basically just a little bit of a solid draw engine, and I like it as a 2 of. I don't think it's needed more. In No Seal you can play as a 4 of. I think in No Seal it's quite fine as a 4 of because you have that much soul. But in my opinion, Gavrail cannot stimulate as much soul. It can get some through the critical trigger, but like Zabanya uses soul blast as well, but you don't use her as much, so it's kind of wishy-washy. And you also get a soul from the starter, so that's kind of why I'm playing just 2. Next up, we're playing the same, it's basically Kale as a grade 1, which is Drill Motor Nurse. So when she goes to the drop zone, you can call her, and if it's due to a rescue skill, then she gains plus 3k. So again, I play 2 of. This one you could actually play more because it's the grade 1, so boosters are easier to fetch, I guess, but I found 2 to be the perfect number as well. Like, I did try 4, just like with the grade 2, but I found again that it's just a nice little cherry on top. It wasn't really too necessary. And the final grade 1 that I play is the Stride Fodder / Gavrail Searcher, and that's because like I do stride a lot, but I can also win on Gavrail's GB2, so that's why it's 7 grade 3s and 3 Stride Fodders, and there's not really any more space for more Stride Fodders or more grade 3s. Moving on to the triggers, we have 4 of the big bad boy Dr. Rod Refross. If you don't know Refross's skill yet by requiring an Anguish, his skill is in Act on GB1. You can commas 1 and put him on top of your deck. You choose 2 cards from your damage zone, put them on top of your deck, shuffle your deck, and then for each card that you put to your deck with this effect, you top deck damage that many and then draw a card. So basically, you counterblast 1, take him and 2 other, most likely counterblasted damage back into deck, shuffle, 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 top deck 2, into damage, and then draw 1. That's basically what you do. And then obviously you can do an infinite loop once you get to low enough cards in deck, but Refross is... He's limited to 1 in Japan. We can still play him 4 in English, and if you're playing Japanese, I recommend either 3 no-seal stands, in which case you would run no-seal as the backup grade 3, or you can put in critical hit angels, that kind of thing. So it's up to you, but that's kind of what I found when I was still testing in the Japanese, kind of, because I assumed that we're going to get it limited in English as well, but we didn't, so then I was like, okay, I guess. Anyway, let's move on to the next stand trigger, which is Surgery Angel. Surgery Angel's skill is when it boosts, you can combos 1 and put him on top of your deck, then you shuffle your deck and rescue 1. So he's very good on the Gavrail strike turn, which we'll get into pretty soon, and also like it's good to just do rescue checks on, and like using him on one of your last attacks is good because then if you top deck a stand, you can stand like a huge broken heart or something like that. So that's why I like to use him. He's generally very, very nice. Next up, we have Sunny Smile Angels, being featured in every single one of my Angel Feather deck profiles, like a lot of these cards. When you boost with it, she gains plus 3k, and then at the end of the turn goes back to deck. That's basically it. She can also be a starter, but you know you're not going to be using that in this deck. I feel like in Angel Feather it hurts the most to G-Guard because like you want to keep putting her back and healing, just keep on heal spamming. But in this deck, like you still need your G-Guard, and your G-Guards are really good, so it's pretty much okay. Finally, we have the Gavrail crit. When you Gavrail Vanguard attacks, you put her into the soul, Vanguard gets plus 5k, and you can draw a card. So, a bit of soul for the Smash Heart and the Zabanya, and that's pretty much it for the main deck. Now let's get into the new G-Zone, which has one of my favorite arts in the game right now, and the first card which has that art is Black Seraph Gavrail. So Gavrail's skill is an act, which is once per turn on GB2, you can plus 1 and Persona, and until end of turn, she gets 2 skills, one of which is at the end of the battle that she attacks, you rescue 2. The other one is when a card is put into a damage zone during the battle phase, then you choose 2 units to give them plus 2k each. So, how this works is that you attack, you rescue 2, and then because of the rescue checks come in, you can then go like 1, 2, 1, 2, you know, you give the plus 2k. So the rescue 2 is really good, and I'll show a quick example after I'm done going over the G-Zone on a little combo you can do with Gavrail. But she's a really, really good stride. Like I tend to go into her most of the time. Like it's a shame that I can only do it twice because she's a Persona, but I think if she wasn't a Persona, she'd be a bit too good. So right now she's super amazing, and I'm glad that she is as amazing as she is, and she also looks flawless. Next up, we still run 4 Raphaels. If you don't know Raphael, it's an act once per turn on GB2. You Persona Blast the stride, and then you heal one of your damages. So it's basically an emergency heal. You don't go into that much, honestly. Like all the games I've tested, of the Gavrail deck, I've only gone into Raphael like once. So you really don't need it that much because usually you want to be at fairly like 45 damage most of the time because you know you're doing a lot of rescue checks. You want to just have a lot of damage to manipulate, you know, that kind of thing. Next up, before we go into Seabreeze, I'll go over Holy Seraph Zachariel. So this is a new card. She has a once per turn act on Vanguard Circle, canvas 1 and flip any unit face up. Then if you have a face up card in your G zone, all your railroads in your front row get plus 3k, and if you have 5 damage then she gets plus 10k. So why do we use her? Because she's a good first stride when you didn't G guard, because then you stride, flip a G unit face up, and you already have Gavrail's GB2. That's why she's in there, that's why she's in a lot of decks for Angel Feather, but also like the plus 2k buff to front row is also really nice. But often I find that when I first stride her, I don't have as much damage that, you know, I end up not having any face ups. So because like I use one for Gavrail and then I use one for her, and there we go, there's the 2 damage I had just gone. So she's really good though, just to enable the GB2. We're still running one Raziel. Raziel's skill is when you stride him, you can Soul Blast 2, return all your damage zone to your deck, shuffle your deck, and for each card that you return, you top deck damage that many times. So the little combo here is obviously to stride on top of Gavrail, use Gavrail's skill first to superior call something from your damage zone, unless it's complete trash, and then you would, well, it's either way, you would canvas 1, and then you would basically Soul Blast 2 to unflip all your damage as well. So in Japan, because Rare Frost is limited, I find him even more useful because he's basically a damage refresh. So he's still a 1-of, used to be a 2-of, but just a 1-of now because we have a still as good finisher, honestly. So last stride is Sabreeze. You've seen him a lot now, honestly. When your Vanguards at grade 3 and you have no face-up G units and your opponent's grade 2 and he didn't ride last turn, you can combos 2 and ditch a card to stride him. So we run Sabreeze because getting the Broken Hearts online as fast as possible is really important for this deck. So that's why I wanna run the Sabreeze. I think in some decks it's okay not to run him, but in anything that runs Broken Heart, I think Sabreeze is pretty important. For the G Guardians now, I think there's one G Guardian here that I'm not sure if I want to play or not, but it's not this one. This one I'm very, very confident with, and this is Holy Seraph Suriel. Suriel's skill is a canvas 1 when you guard with her. You can look at the top card of your deck and then put it on top or bottom, and then you rescue 1. So very good because you can guard with it and then maybe get a trigger from the rescue, and then maybe a heal trigger, maybe, you know, that kind of thing. So it's very good for the defensive plays, has synchronization with Gavrail's GB2, so it's generally very nice. Next up we play one Orifil, and this one I'm not too sure if I want to keep her or put in a screw. So her skill is not that great. When you guard with her, if you have 4 or more damage, she gains plus 5k shield. So if you get rushed, sure, she's nice. She's a 20k shield basically. But if you don't, and you stay at low damage and your opponent doesn't give you more damage for some reason, then she's not as useful anymore, and Screw could be useful against stuff like Diablo and, you know, those matchups, but I haven't tested against them with this deck as much yet, so that's kind of why I'm not too sure. Finally, we do play Dismal. I feel like Dismal is very important though. So Dismal skill, if you don't know, is first she has resist, and 2, when you guard with it, you choose one of your rear guards and it cannot be hit, and it cannot be chosen by effects of your opponent's cards. So you use this to protect Broken Heart, because Broken Heart should not die. Like, you want to keep it there and you want it to be immune to everything, so that's what Dismal does. So that's the G-Zone lineup, and now I'll just show a quick little combo before we finish off that you can do with the new Gavrail Stride. Okay, so let's say this is your field setup. You've already activated Gavrail's GB2, you know, you've got the whole thing sorted out. And let's say you've done some swaps beforehand as well, like you've got some good Broken Heart numbers. Like, I'm not going to go too into detail on this one. So you can, for example, attack with the, like this column, for example, like let's say it's whatever big, like you've done whatever swaps, and then because you might get stands, you might not, you attack with Vanguard next, and then, you know, you do your triple drive. Like, okay, like, yeah, we got a stand, we got a crit, like, we can stand it, or we can ignore it, like, doesn't really matter. And then at the end of the attack, you would rescue 2. So then let's say if you don't get a stand, and you've got these 2, you get rid of them, and you got a fresh new attack, which will attack for 22, so that's already a nice number. And then you can also apply the plus 2k buffs, so like you can do like 2, 2, 2, 2, like, we can do 2, 2, 2, 2, like something like this, because this will go away. And then you obviously, because you're still rescuing, you would do another checks, like whatever, you know, it doesn't really matter what triggers you get for the case of this. And then when you finish the attack, you can choose to still do Surgery Angel, you know, canvas 1, he goes back to deck, shuffle, 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 rescue 1, kind of thing. Again, we're not going to pay attention to triggers. And now because you did another rescue, her other skill pops again, so you can do like plus 2, plus 2, and then you can attack with this, then use it again, he goes back, you know, rescue, 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 and then, oh look, Gavrail's skill procced again, plus 2, plus 2, and then, you know, swing for this, for the final one. So because of the stand trigger, you can really abuse the stand trigger allows you to really abuse Gavrail's the strike skill, and you can also use it with Harut, so that's why we run these cards, and the new stand trigger is also really good for this reason. So that's just this little combo. It's not as precise and detailed as I sometimes do them, but it's just a little example of what you can do with the deck. And that's pretty much it for this deck profile, so thank you very much for watching. Like I've said a few times, this isn't a super competitive deck build in my opinion. Like, it's very good and it's very fun, but like I said, No Seal I feel is stronger, but this is still very good, and it's not, I gotta say, it's not cheap either, so it is good, but I wouldn't call it cheap, because Gavrail doesn't go for that low, and No Seal doesn't go for that low. If you want to save some money, you can replace the No Seals with Malik's, because then, like, if you run 4 of Malik, she's a bit more consistent, and it also saves money, so if you're just starting up and you want to play Angel Feather. So, if you were asking for the rescue deck list, I hope this helped. I will be doing a No Seal deck list with the new rescue stuff as well, so stay tuned for that. That'll probably be next week or the week after that, we'll see. I'll see how my scheduling goes, but that's pretty much it for this video, and that's all for me today. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.